Be careful. You absolutely must not use weapons in that area.
I've already programmed the nanomachine so that he won't be able to, Colonel.
What? What are you talking about?
Have you forgotten? That's where they keep the nuclear warheads. Can't you see them?
Yeah. There's lots of boxes piled up in here, but are they all warheads?
Yes, they're all dismantled warheads.
They just leave them here? It's like President Baker said. Totally careless.
They're working on a limited budget. They try to put on a pretty face for the media, but this is the grim reality of it. Nastasha knows lots more about it than I do.
All of the warheads in those boxes have had their detonation mechanisms removed, so there's no fear of them exploding. But if the warheads are broken, they might leak plutonium, and that would be a serious problem.
Snake, never use your weapon on that floor.
Snake, that is a nuclear warhead storage area.
Are all of these filled with nuclear warheads?
Yes, but their detonation mechanisms have been removed.
So I don't have to worry about this island turning into a pile of smoking rubble.
No. But if the casing is damaged, they may be leaking nuclear materials. Please, make sure you do not use your gun around there. Naturally, nuclear weapons contain plutonium. Most of the radiation emitted by plutonium isotopes consists of alpha rays. The ionization effects are strong. But if they are kept in containers, there is no danger of exposure. But if plutonium enters the body through breathing or other contact, it is quickly absorbed into the bones, liver, or gonad. After that, there is no way to remove it. Once that happens, the victim will be constantly exposed to it, and just one millionth of a gram of plutonium can cause cancer. That is why a plutonium leak is such a serious danger. Make sure you do not use your gun anywhere near there. Scientists are currently using genetic engineering to try to create a microorganism capable of breaking down plutonium, but they have yet to demonstrate any success.
The plutonium version of bioremediation, huh? Instead of processing, what about reusing it? I thought that they were working on using dismantled plutonium for civilian applications.
For a time, it looked like there was going to be international cooperation for that. But unfortunately, there was too much mutual suspicion, and it all fell apart. The signing of START was a step in the right direction, but it created a flood of dismantled plutonium. Disposing of that plutonium safely is now the biggest challenge facing the world. Combustion in nuclear reactors, vitrification processing. Lots of suggestions have been made, but in reality, no effective solutions have been found.
Snake, that's probably some type of nerve gas. It's extremely lethal. Use a gas mask.
Snake, it's gas. Hold your breath. Your O2 gauge should appear underneath your life gauge. If you don't breathe, the gauge will decrease. When it reaches 0, your life gauge will begin to decrease.
If you use a gas mask, your O2 gauge will decrease more slowly.
Try to find a gas mask.
The gas that's being dispersed is probably an organic phosphorus-based nerve gas. It destroys the nervous system by interfering with the breakdown of acetylcholine, an important neurotransmitter. And you don't have to breathe it in for it to kill you. It can enter your body through skin contact as well. Victims die within 15 minutes of the onset of symptoms like nausea, perspiration, convulsions, headache, or difficulty with breathing. Your sneaking suit will give you some protection. It's made of a material similar to that which the NBC soldiers use. Also, I injected you with nanomachines that contain PAM, a nerve gas neutralizing agent. But that will only give you temporary protection. You better find a gas mask.
The area is filled with gas, probably an organophosphate nerve agent, like Soman or something similar. Well, your sneaking suit gives you some protection. Also, your nanomachines contain anti-BC neutralizing agents, so you should be okay for a short time. But what you really need is a gas mask. An organophosphate nerve agent is a gas which invades an animal's nerves. It was first used as a weapon in World War II, and the casualties resulting from it were tremendous. In its pure form, it is a colorless, odorless gas. That gas was probably colored yellow to make it easier to detect in the case of a leak.
What have you got there? A cardboard box?
Yeah. Remember that trick?
That's the Snake I remember. Those poor fools won't know what hit them.
Those are remote-controlled miniature reconnaissance missiles, sometimes called Nikita missiles. They've got CCD cameras in their nose cones. After you fire them, they'll transmit their visual data to your monitor. You can control their flight freely in all directions. But the missiles have a limited amount of fuel. Watch the gauge carefully. Just like Baker said, each year there are more and more cases of MUF coming from the nuclear material storage facilities. That stands for Material Unaccounted For. It means that someone is stealing nuclear materials and probably selling them on the black market.
Snake, watch out. That place is filled with gas. Also, the floor is electrified. First, destroy the high-voltage switch. It's the switchboard on the northwest wall.
But how? I can't reach it.
Use a remote-controlled missile.
After the fall of the Soviet Union, the nuclear management program fell to pieces. In the late 1990s, there were rumors that nearly 100 suitcase-sized nuclear bombs mysteriously disappeared from the Soviet arsenal. We still do not know whether it is true or not, but it is possible that they fell into the hands of terrorists.
Snake, listen to what Lao Tzu said. He who knows that enough is enough will always have enough. Just because you see an item doesn't mean that you always have to get it. If you really don't need it, think twice before you stick your neck out. It might not be worth it.
Both the DARPA chief and President Baker still embrace the ideal of a strong America. They are enthusiastic advocates of the nuclear deterrence policy. The idea behind a nuclear standoff is that both countries would be too afraid to use a nuclear weapon for fear of a nuclear reprisal. In other words, the only thing preventing a country from totally devastating another country with nuclear weapons is the fear of a nuclear counterstrike. Those two probably feel that Metal Gear will further promote that security. You got a gas mask. Good. That is a double eyepiece type. Be careful. Unlike the transparent shield type, it will restrict your field of vision. It is equipped with a voice emitter, so do not worry about not being heard. The outside is made of reinforced plastic, and the inside is made from an acetate weave. Also, the eyepieces are specially treated, so they won't fog up. You will be able to stay in a gas-filled area for a long time with that mask. Use it wisely. The conservatives believe that as long as other countries have nuclear capability, they must maintain a credible deterrent. They are therefore opposed to the elimination of nuclear weapons. And with each new country that acquires nuclear capabilities, the need for maintaining that counterstrike threat increases. As long as the nuclear deterrent policy continues, we'll never be rid of nuclear weapons.
You did it. You destroyed the switchboard. The electrical current running through the floor should be off now. You've got to rescue Dr. Emmerich and find out Metal Gear's weak point.
Isn't he being held in the laboratory in the northeast part of the floor you're on?
Dr. Emmerich is probably being held in his lab in the northeast part of that floor. They flooded the area with gas to prevent him from escaping.
The theory of nuclear deterrence was born during the Cold War, at a time of great suspicion between the US and the USSR. The great gulf between the ideologies of East and West caused a dramatic escalation in the arms race. And this escalation of the arms race in turn fueled mutual distrust and fear between the world's two great superpowers. The last half of the 20th century was shaped by the policy of nuclear deterrence. But the world has changed. The Cold War has ended, and we are now living in a world where small, regional conflicts are breaking out all over. Things are not so simple anymore, and the policy of nuclear deterrence is obsolete. Most of these regional conflicts are the result of age-old enmities between different ethnic groups and religions. In those cases, the hatred often runs so deep that rationality is thrown out the window. For people such as them, the fear of a counterstrike often means little, and that is why the nuclear deterrence policy has lost much of its efficacy. A nuclear standoff is not a sufficient deterrent in the current world climate.
What's this pile of corpses? It looks like they were all slashed by some kind of sword.
It couldn't be.
What?
Nothing.
Snake, I'm worried about Emmerich. Hurry up and get to him.
The nuclear weapons disposal facility on Shadow Moses Island was built at the beginning of this century. It was made only to temporarily store the nuclear warheads.
Why? If they wanted to dispose of them, why wouldn't they just dismantle them right away?
They cannot do that. You see, when you dismantle a warhead, you still have nuclear materials that must be stored. At this point, all of the nuclear material storage facilities are way past capacity. But they could not stop dismantling weapons while at the same time pushing START 2.
So you're telling me that this base was built so they could temporarily avoid being in conflict with START 2?
Most people think that we live in a safer world now. But with all the dismantled nuclear weapons and waste around, the threat of nuclear terrorism has increased tremendously.
Ironic, isn't it?
Snake, you can't use the radar because something's jamming it. And whatever's doing it is very close to you. Be careful.
Stealth camouflage? Who are you?
Where is my friend?
What? What are you talking about? Oh, what next?
Snake.
Hey, you're that ninja.
I've been waiting for you, Snake.
Who are you?
Neither enemy nor friend. I am back from a world where such words are meaningless. I've removed all obstacles. Now you and I will battle to the death.
What do you want?
Oh, I've waited a long time for this day. Now I want to enjoy this moment.
What's with these guys? It's like one of my Japanese animes.
I've come from another world to battle with you.
What is it? Revenge?
It is nothing so trivial as revenge. A fight to the death with you. Only in that can my soul find respite. I will kill you, or you will kill me. It makes no difference. All right then. Watch from your box seat.
I need that man. Keep your hands off him.
Now, make me feel it. Make me feel alive again.
If you have a question about members of Foxhound, you should ask Naomi.
I'm sorry, but there's no one in Foxhound like that. There are currently only 6 members of Foxhound. Psycho Mantis, Sniper Wolf, Vulcan Raven, Decoy Octopus, Revolver Ocelot, and finally, Liquid Snake. The Genome soldiers under his command are next-generation special forces. Foxhound is intended to be a small number of highly elite, hand-picked soldiers.
You're talking about the current Foxhound, right?
Yes.
Snake, who or what is that thing? Is he an enemy or not?
That's what I'd like to know. Naomi, you really don't have any idea?
Maybe I should ask you the same thing.
What?
Nothing. Forget about it.
Snake, he's obviously trying to provoke you.
He's just playing with you. Why don't you try throwing away your weapons?
Look at him move. He must have some kind of powered exoskeleton.
Powered exoskeleton? You mean like prosthetic arms and legs?
No. There is a fundamental difference. Prosthetics are intended to compensate for lost body limbs. The exoskeleton replaces human flesh with machinery to produce a weapon more powerful than a mere human.
A war machine, huh?
I heard rumors about the experiments, but I had no idea that such a creature really existed.
Good. Now we can fight as warriors. Hand to hand is the basis of all combat. Only a fool trusts his life to a weapon. That's good, Snake. Snake, hurry up and catch me.
He's fast. If you lose sight of him, switch to first-person view mode and look for him.
Ninja? I've never heard of any member of Foxhound like that. But you're gonna have to do something about him if you want to save Dr. Emmerich.
I'm here, Snake. Like old times. I've been waiting for this day. That's it. I remember that punch. Do you remember Snake? The feel of battle. The clashing of bone and sinew. That's good, Snake. Hurt me more. I felt that, Snake. Do you remember me now?
It can't be. You were killed in Zanzibar. What? Not again. What's happening?
I'm losing myself.
Is it over? Gray Fox. Colonel, that ninja is Gray Fox. No doubt about it.
Ridiculous. You yourself in Zanzibar land.
Yes. He should have been killed, but he's still alive.
What?
It happened before I joined Foxhound's medical staff. They were using a soldier for their gene therapy experiments.
I never heard that.
It happened right after you retired. My predecessor, Dr. Clark, was in charge.
Dr. Clark?
Yes. He started the gene therapy project.
And where is he now?
He was killed in an explosion in his lab 2 years ago.
So what about this soldier?
Apparently, for their test subject, they decided to use the body of a soldier who was recovered after the fall of Zanzibar land.
And that was Gray Fox?
But he was already dead.
Yes. But they revived him. They fitted him with a prototype exoskeleton and kept him drugged for 4 years while they experimented on him like a plaything. Today's genome soldiers were born from those experiments.
That's the sickest thing I've ever heard.
They used him to test all sorts of gene therapy techniques.
Naomi, why didn't you tell us about this sooner?
Because it's confidential information.
Is that the only reason?
Naomi, what happened to Gray Fox after that?
The record said he died in an accident.
I see. But even if that ninja is Gray Fox, the question is, why?
From what I could tell, he didn't know who he was.
You're saying he's just living off his will to fight?
I'm not sure, but he seems intent on fighting me to the death. We'll meet again. I know it.
So you'll fight again? Until you kill him?
I'd rather not. But maybe that's what he wants. How long are you gonna stay in there?
Huh? Are you one of them?
No, I'm not. I always work alone.
Alone? Are you an otaku too?
Come on, get out. We can't stay here forever.
Your uniform's different from theirs.
You're the Metal Gear Rex chief engineer, Hal Emmerich, right?
You know me?
I heard about you from Meryl.
Oh. So you're here to rescue me?
Sorry, but no. There's something that I've got to do first.
Oh. Well, at least you're not one of them.
Are you hurt?
I'm okay. I just twisted my ankle a little trying to get away.
Well, if that's all, it's nothing to worry about. I want to ask you something. I need information about Metal Gear.
Huh? Metal Gear?
Yeah. What's Metal Gear really designed for?
It's a mobile TMD. It's designed to shoot down nuclear missiles. Only for defensive purposes, of course.
Liar! I already know that Metal Gear is nothing but a nuclear-equipped walking deathmobile.
Nuclear? What are you talking about?
The terrorists are planning to use Metal Gear to launch a nuclear missile. You telling me you didn't know?
Aren't they just trying to use the TMD missile module to launch a disabled nuclear warhead?
Wrong. From the beginning, the purpose of this exercise was to test Metal Gear's nuclear launch capability using a dummy nuclear warhead. The terrorists are just continuing the work you started.
No, you're wrong.
I heard it directly from your boss, Baker.
No. A nuclear missile on Rex?
So you really didn't know?
No. All the armament was built by a separate department, and the President personally supervised the final assembly with the main unit.
President Baker?
Yeah. I was never told exactly what they armed Rex with. I only know it's equipped with a Vulcan cannon, a laser, and a railgun.
A railgun, you said?
Yeah. It uses magnets to fire bullets at extremely high velocities. The technology was originally developed for the SDI system and later scrapped. We were successful in miniaturizing it in a joint venture between Arms Tech and Rivermore National Labs. The railgun is on Rex's right arm.
Metal Gear's main function is to launch nuclear missiles. You sure you're not forgetting something?
It's true that Metal Gear has a missile module on his back that can carry up to 8 missiles, but are you saying it was originally meant to carry nuclear missiles?
Yeah, but that's not all, I think. If Metal Gear fired only standard nuclear missiles, then they should already have all the practical data they need.
No. Could it be? Metal Gear's co-developer, Rivermore National Labs, was working on a new type of nuclear weapon. They were using NOVA and NIF laser nuclear fusion testing equipment and supercomputers.
So they developed a new type of nuclear weapon in a VR testing lab, huh?
Yes, but you can't use virtual data on a battlefield. They would need actual launch data. These are some of the supercomputers. If you link these, you can test everything in a virtual environment. But it's all just theoretical.
So, this exercise was designed to test the real thing.
What did our president do? If the terrorists launched that thing? No. Damn! Damn! I'm such a fool! It's all my fault! The truth is, my grandfather was part of the Manhattan Project.
He suffered with the guilt for the rest of his life. And my father? He was born on August 6th, 1945.
The day of the Hiroshima bomb. God's got a sense of humor, all right.
3 generations of Emmerich men. We must have the curse of nuclear weapons written into our DNA. I used to think that I could use science to help mankind. But in the end, I was the one being used. Using science for peace? That's only in anime.
That's enough crying. Pull yourself together. Where is Metal Gear? Where on this base are they keeping it?
Rex is in the underground maintenance base.
Where's that?
North of the communications tower. But it's a long way there.
The emergency override system for the detonation code is there too?
Yeah, in the base's control room. You'd better hurry. If they were planning a launch from the start, then their ballistic program is probably finished. And since they haven't called for me in a few hours, they must not need me. In other words, they must be ready to launch.
Meryl's got the detonation code override keys. We'll link up with her.
If we can't override the launch, we'll have to destroy Rex. I'll show you the way.
On that leg of yours, you'll just slow me down.
You'll need me if you're gonna destroy Rex.
I don't need you. I just need your brain.
I created Rex. It's my right, my duty to destroy him.
If you get a chance, try to escape. When the coast is clear, I'll contact you by Codec.
How am I supposed to escape from an island?
Okay.
So what then?
I want you to hide somewhere and keep me informed. You know this place well, don't you?
Of course I do. And don't worry, I've got this. It's the same stealth technology as the Ninja. Foxhound was gonna use them, but with this I'll be fine. Bad leg and all.
Good. But I want Meryl to watch after you too. Meryl, the engineer's okay.
That's a relief.
I want you to look after him. Where are you now?
Very close. There she is. Oh no! Damn, they spotted me!
Meryl, what happened? Something's wrong.
Did you hear something? Wasn't that some kind of music?
What did she look like?
She was wearing the same green uniform as the terrorists. If she's disguised as the enemy, you'll have to contact her when she's alone, huh? There's only one place where we can be sure she's by herself.
Where's that?
Don't be so dense. Here, use this security card. It's security level 4.
You're not in pain, are you?
Huh?
You feel okay? Nothing bothering you?
What's wrong? You get all friendly all of a sudden.
No, nothing. Just glad you're okay.
You're strange.
I'm a little nervous. Everyone else I've saved suddenly dies.
You're bad luck.
Forget it, Doctor.
Call me Otacon.
Otacon?
It stands for Otaku Convention. An otaku is a guy like me who likes Japanimation. Japan was the first country to successfully make bipedal robots. They're still the best in the field of robotics.
And Japanese cartoons played some part in that?
They did. I didn't get into science to make nuclear weapons, you know.
Yeah, that's what all scientists say.
I became a scientist because I wanted to make robots like the ones in the Japanese animes. Really, it's true.
Sounds like an excuse to me.
You're right. We have to take responsibility. Science has progressed because there is war. And because of scientists' greed, weapons of mass destruction were born. But that's all over. I won't take part in murder anymore.
Whatever. All I want from you is information.
Sure. I know everything about this whole base. Ask me anything about Rex or about this place. Also, with this stealth camouflage, I can sneak in and out of the armory and mess hall. If you need ammo or rations, just tell me and I'll bring them to you. I'm on frequency 141.12. See you later.
Well, it looks like you've rescued Emmerich for the time being.
Yeah. With that stealth camouflage, he should be able to hide safely. Gray Fox. I can't believe it. But the real problem is your niece. The way the codec got cut off like that has me worried. Something must have happened to her.
You're worried? About Meryl?
Not exactly. It's just that she's holding the detonation code override keys. They're our last chance of stopping that nuclear launch.
You're a cold man. Your mission is more important than the life of your companions?
This is war. Survival is the name of the game. Sometimes you have to be cold to survive.
Yes, but...
Snake, either way, I want you to find Meryl as soon as possible.
I understand.
Didn't Meryl say that she's somewhere close by? Why don't you start by searching in that building?
Otacon said that now it's possible to design and test new types of nuclear weapons in a virtual simulation without ever exploding a nuclear device. Is that true?
Yes, it's true. Since the establishment of DART, the Dual-Axis Radiographic Hydrodynamic Test Facility, and NIF, the National Ignition Facility, early in the 21st century, there's been a wealth of data concerning nuclear fission and fusion. There is also much data accumulated from the nuclear tests conducted over the last 4 decades. With the processing speed of today's supercomputers, they can design a new nuclear weapon through virtual reality computer simulations. In order to collect data for the simulation experiments, they're doing subcritical tests underground. Those are experiments in which they detonate high explosives in proximity to plutonium without setting off a critical chain reaction. They then measure the effect that the shock wave has on the plutonium. By measuring the particles which fly off the surface of the plutonium, they can learn the mass, speed, and distribution of the plutonium particles. The politicians insist that, whether it is above ground or below ground, a nuclear test which does not cause a nuclear explosion is not a nuclear test, and therefore does not violate the CTBT. A lot of people do not agree with that interpretation.
Snake, there's an old Chinese saying, a scholar who cherishes the love of comfort is not fit to be deemed a scholar. Einstein said it another way. He said that only a life lived for others is worth living. That's why I entered MIT instead of CMU or Princeton like my friends. I wanted to do applied physics, not just theoretical stuff. I wanted to make things for people. The soliton radar system, or the Codec system. I just wanted to make something that would be useful for people. I think that it was the same for Dr. Emmerich, too. But he was used like a tool, used to make a horrible killing machine. Maybe it would be better if engineers like us just stopped making things. I don't know.
No, you're wrong. There's at least one person whose life has gotten better as a result of your inventions. Me.
Huh?
Without the codec, I wouldn't be able to talk to you like this.
Thanks, Snake.
The first subcritical test was performed on July 2nd, 1997 at the Nevada Nuclear Testing Facility. After that, subcritical testing became extremely common, not only in America, but in Russia and other countries too. They say that the reason for the tests is to ensure the safety and reliability of the existing nuclear stockpile. But that's nothing more than a flimsy cover story. In reality, the danger of a nuclear weapon exploding accidentally decreases over time. It is clear that the real reason for these tests is to aid in the development of new types of nuclear weapons. Even the government admits that the data collected from those tests is used in virtual reality simulation tests.
Mei Ling, how did you get into this line of work?
The truth is, I always wanted to become a fighter pilot. I fell in love with jets watching them in the movies.
You'd be surprised how many people say the same thing.
But I didn't want to kill people. That's when I heard that the US Air Force needed people to do BDAs, battle damage assessments.
Those are the guys whose job it is to confirm how successful a bombing run was.
Yeah, so I started to do research into aerial photography and air intelligence. I made it my major.
But there are no pilots who only do BDAs.
That's right. By the time I learned that, I was already an expert in my field.